Love springs eternal, and amidst the upheavals in the Wiseman household, Joel and Midge seem to have new love interests. Is this finally the end of their marriage? Come back after the intro for the answer to this and other questions. Hello and welcome to this review of The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Season 2, Episode 6, Let's Face the Music and Dance. It received a score on IMDb of 8.8, and the highest score it received from a particular demographic. Women over the age of 45 gave it a 9.3, and then the lowest average score from a particular demographic, it received a score of 8.4 from men 30 to 45, and every episode it seems to do particularly weak with that demographic, men 30 to 45. Sometimes 45 over, but it does seem 30 plus. It just doesn't get the same scores that it gets with women viewers. The director and writer of the episode was Daniel Palladino, and then the director of photography, M. David Mullen. I believe he's been the DP of every episode. I really should check. I think I said that in my last episode review, that I believe he was the DP of every episode. Plot summary courtesy of Amazon Prime, as always. I say that all the time. It's got a certain ring to it. With Midge's secrets now exposed to Abe, tensions between them are higher than ever. Summer is nearing an end, with Susie finally immersed into her Steiner persona and Joel contemplating life as a bachelor. Rose takes advantage of Astrid's fragile state to learn some surprising intel about Noah. And my general thoughts about the episode was that the writing was very strong for the comedy bits, but that the pathos or the drama lacked a little punch. There were a couple of scenes where, in contrast to episode 1, where there was the conversation between Midge and Joel, where they were talking about Joel just can't be with Midge. That tugged on my heartstrings. It made me cry. But the scene at the end of the episode where Joel and Midge have their last dance, didn't really hit me. The comedy episodes were brilliant, and I will discuss those later. But maybe I'm drawing a conclusion from a small sample size, but it seems to me that Daniel Palladino is very strong at humor and not so good at drama, whereas his wife, showrunner Amy Sherman Palladino, is adept at both. Again, small sample size. I haven't followed his work enough to really say. Let's begin by talking about the Midge and Abe plot, and that had some of the funniest moments in the episode. And I thought that the table, the scene at the breakfast table, when Abe comes to breakfast a little bit late, was a master class in callback, misdirection, and character-driven one-liners. I think the only character that suffered in that scene and in the episode in general is Astrid. She becomes just one note. Well, we'll say two notes. One note is, and I think this is a funny gag. The joke is she's trying so hard to be Jewish. She's culturally more Jewish than many of the people who are born Jewish. And I think that works, because it's not meant to really build up her character. It's just meant to drive home a point of someone trying to assimilate. However, the second part, where she's used just as a plot tool to reveal that Noah's in the CIA, that was really kind of weak. It just seemed real easy to make her lightheaded, and so she spills her guts. And the only reason she does that, it's not really to reveal anything about her character. Because what does it say about her character? She's been fasting. It doesn't say that she's weak-willed. It's just that if you're not eating, you get a little lightheaded. So it doesn't say it would happen to any of us. It doesn't say anything about her character specifically. it only happens just so that the parents get an idea that Noah's in the CIA. So that's kind of, that drives home my point, where it seems like the director is really good at comedy, but the character part not so much. He can write jokes that are in character, but maybe he sacrifices character for the joke sometimes. And yeah, so notes on the asteroid. Yeah, I have 2 notes on the asteroid. Wow, that really affected me. Yeah, so like I said, the dining table masterclass in callback, because we love the jokes pay off again. So Jimmy with the tomato juice comes into play, and bowling, husband's bowling. Joel's bowling is part of it. There's like all these little bits that were at the camp and early, that happened while they were at the camp and seated earlier in the season. They all get paid off there at the dining table. And I thought with Abe, they were very good at building the levels. Within these two and a half episodes of scenes at the camp, 3 episodes at the camp, but because we weren't always at the camp, we'll say 2.5. All these little things that show that the life that Abe should be enjoying, the idol that Abe should be enjoying, things keep impinging upon his calmness, his relaxation time. So we have Moish taking the phone calls while Abe's playing table shuffleboard. We get the jokes about him and his onesie, his romper. We get, what else? Jimmy's not there. The intrusion of the Wisemans at the camp. All these little things add the next level at trying to break Abe. And what I thought, many things in the episode were surprising. Like I could not have predicted where they were going. And one was, it seems like Abe's at his breaking point when he's having a conversation with Midge about her career. And I wrote down the name of the job. The Tumblr comes up and says, pick a card, any card. And Abe tells him to just screw off. Not in that language, though, stronger language. And for me, seeing Abe lose his cool like that, I thought, oh, that's the breaking point. Because it's really showing how he's lost control of Midge. I could not expect that we were going to go even further with Abe, and now he was going to feel like he was losing control of Noah and not having anything to do with his family. So the fact that each level was built upon, and that when it seemed like we hit the bottom for Abe, there was still more to go. That's testimony to the writing and the acting. And I just read that Tony Shalhoub just won the Screen Actors Guild Award for, I would imagine, supporting actor in a comedy series, and well deserved, because he does more than comedy, and he does the comedy brilliantly. But look at the drama that he was called upon to do in these last 2 episodes, when he learns that Midge is not the girl he thought he raised. Like the look in his face when he's driving her home is just amazing. Susie's plot took a direction I didn't foresee. I guess the only thing I really kind of caught onto, I saw the possibility of her growing into the role as the plumber, the camp plumber. I did not see, and I don't think there was probably any viewers who saw the way that her role was going to grow into her becoming a member of the family. It's really, that camp becomes kind of an extended family for her. And we've seen that Susie is very overprotective about her boundaries, because she grew up in a damaged family. She did not have family, and I think she's afraid of being vulnerable. The way that she keeps Midge at arm's length and says, I'm only your manager, I'm not your friend. I think we see that. Maybe there will be progression in that relationship between Midge and Susie, now that we've seen that she's grown into her role at the camp. That may be the first step that she needs to take. And I'm pretty sure that Uncle, that was referred to earlier in the season, will come back upon her. There'll be probably some resolution to that. So I think the big key for Susie's character this season is going to be family, reconciliation with family. And this really kind of a minor subplot of her at the camp is, I think, laying the groundwork, kind of trying to move her character towards the bigger movement we'll see later in the season, I predict. However, I couldn't see Chester is the name of the character. I really thought that was going to pay off the whole crisscross angle, but it didn't. It didn't. And I really enjoy a lot of the looseness of this season. A lot of things not paying off. A lot of scenes there just for the mood and the flavor and just the joke. I really appreciate that because it seems like right now the trend in TV is to tightening, making it tighter, more about plot and sacrificing moments and character, building character, and just character exposition, all for plot. So now that we have a series that's doing that, I don't remember it being this loose, season 1. I really appreciate, I for one really appreciate it. I imagine there are viewers who don't like it as much, but I'm not one of those. The stuff with Astrid, this is like the third note. This is the third note I wrote about Astrid. My God, I really did not like that. Let's see, the bit with Noah at Bell's lab security with the buzzer to the door, and then just when you think that's the last person coming into the room. So I don't seem like I'm too stream of consciousness, something. When, what's his head, Tony Shalhoub, Abe goes to Bell Labs with his son Noah, and he's talking up his son, trying to get him a job at the laboratory. When he kind of crosses the line and calls out his friendship business association with one of the senior members of the Bell Labs, and so they call him into the security room. And then when one person comes in, the buzzer has to ring them in. Just when you think that's the last one, another person comes into the sound of the buzzer. And when the scene concludes with Abe's level being lowered, with the security apparatchik of Bell Labs even saying that the garbage men have a higher security clearance than Abe. When they say, well, we need the room now to talk to Noah, Abe, you can leave. And that scene ends on the buzzer again. That was another great example of callback. Or in that case, more payoff, because it's not really calling back. But all the comedic bits were just well executed in this episode. And that's all I had for the notes for this episode. I imagine that's going to make this review a bit brief, but that's fine. You know, they can't all be 25 minutes. So, what's my thoughts on the season so far? This is episode 6, where I didn't even mention. Okay, so we have one last thing to talk about, and that's Midge and Joel. As I alluded to in the cold open, about the relationship between them and Joel. Them meaning the triangle has seemed to have reached his denouement, with Joel choosing. We know he's not really into her, because there's a scene when Joel is watching the stars and Midge is with Benjamin, and Joel's eyes are only on Midge. We know Joel's still pining for Midge. That's nothing. That relationship is not real. Although it could be set up for Midge trying to come back to Joel, and then Joel saying, I'm into this new girl. But all that setup we've had, all that building, the development of Joel's character in this season, and it's wonderful. It really fleshed out Joel's character, turned him from a 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional character, and I believe it really got the audience's sympathy directed towards him. He was more of a heel in the first season, and they didn't do much of anything to build his character. But I've alluded to this before. All the secondary characters that support Joel, his family, the business associate, the guy at the bank, all this for a character that's going to leave after 6 episodes doesn't pass the smell test. So I definitely feel that's not done with. We've seen indications of where Benjamin and Midge, the bloom could be off the romance. One is Midge is accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and Joel all this season has been trying to make himself into a self-made person. He's working for his family, but we've seen him gain his own independence so that he could provide for Midge and his children. But Benjamin claims that he is notoriously cheap. The gag about the drink is on him. She said, well, drinks around the house tonight. Well, so in that case, I'll have 2 for you. That could be a wedge between their relationship, the money issue. Secondly, he's never seen her perform. He claims that he saw her perform in the car, do a bit, but she's never made any humor about him. And remember, when Joel saw Midge's act, he responded in two ways. He recognized she belonged on the stage, and then he felt that he would never be able to stand by her because when she joked about him, he didn't have enough confidence to take the joke. Well, we haven't seen Midge joke about Benjamin. It's quite possible that Benjamin has the confidence to be the butt of the humor of Midge. However, I'm prognosticating where, if they were to introduce an element of doubt to whether Midge and Benjamin could stay together, that could be one area, her humor. And we haven't seen Benjamin interact with Midge's family. We've seen Joel interact with Midge's family. It's functional. We haven't seen Benjamin. In fact, the mother had a low estimation of him after the way he treated Midge in the boat. So the jury's out. It's a young, they're in their early stages of that crush, but they don't really know each other. They know enough about each other to feel there's something there. But again, they have built Joel's character up so much this season, I feel that we have not reached the end of where Midge and Joel may go. We'll have to see. It definitely leaves me wondering, and I'm sure you as well. And that is the conclusion for this review of The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Season 2, Episode 6, titled Let's Face the Music and Dance. I hope life finds you well. That's all for now. Take care and be well. Testing the sound because it's been so long. Now we're going to show it now. We're now testing the sound. Hey, the hills are alive. Hey, with the sound of hey music.